Welcome. The topic we'll be discussing in this lecture is security aspects in operating system. So we'll be discussing these topics under this heading. We'll be discussing the security problem, the various threats, the system and network threats, and how cryptography can be used as a security tool. The objective of the topic is to discuss the various security threats and attacks, to explain the fundamentals of encryption, authentication, and hashing, also to understand how cryptography works. Okay. So, so as already defined in the previous topic, security basically aims to protect the system from external threat. The system is secure if resources used and accessed is as intended. So, so the intruders or the attackers or the crackers are the one who try to attack the security of a system. Okay. So here basically we use two terms. One is threat, the other one is attack. Let us try to understand what is a threat and what is an attack. A threat is a threat is actually it is a vulnerability. It is a vulnerability or some weak point in your system that is called as a threat. Okay, so a threat is basically a vulnerability or a weak point in the system that is called as threat. Okay, so because of this weak point, you may fear that somebody may attack us, or somebody or this weak point may easily allow someone to attack attack the system. So that is called as a threat. Okay, say for example, say in your home, one of the door is not so strong, then that is a threat. That is a threat because it allows uh, a potential thief to enter easily. Okay, so that is called as a threat. So threat is some weakness in the existing system which allows an attacker to easily take the advantage of that. That is called as threat. So threat basically is connected with vulnerability in the existing system, or what are the weak points, or what are the vulnerable entries, what are the vulnerable links through which somebody can gain access to the system. Such vulnerable points are called as threat. Okay, and what is an attack? An attack is an attempt to break the security. Attack is an attempt to break the security. Somebody is attempting to break the security. That is called as an attack. Okay, so the attacker may break the security either at a vulnerable link or maybe at some other link. That depends. Okay, most probably you can say that attacker will try to choose a vulnerable entry because already the entry point is vulnerable, so it will be easy for the attacker to gain advantage to gain access to the resource. Okay, so this is the two difference between threat and attack which you should understand. A threat is a vulnerable point in the system which allows an unauthorized user to gain access into the system easily. An attack is an attempt to break the security of a system. Okay, an attack can be either accident or malicious. Sometimes a user maybe accidentally attack. His intention might be different, but it may attack the system, or and at some other times it may be malicious. That is, it is intentionally done. Okay, so it is easy to protect the system against accidental attack than from malicious attacks. Because what are the different situations under which a user may attack the system accidentally, that can be figured out, and precautions can be taken. But no such precautions but it is not that easy to make such precautions for malicious attacks. So the security violation can be broadly classified under these categories. So the first one is breach of confidentiality. So what is confidentiality? Confidentiality means uh, that is confidentiality means something it is not allowed to use by everyone. Only the right user can use that. Okay, so that is called as confidentiality. So here what happens if there is a breach of confidentiality, then the unauthorized person can read the data. The person who is not authorized, he can read the data if there is a breach of confidentiality. Okay, so if something is confidential, then it is secure. If it is not confidential, it is not secure. Okay. So mm, so if it is a breach of confidentiality means an unauthorized person is reading your data, so that is a breach of confidentiality. A breach of integrity means an unauthorized person is modifying the data. He's not only just reading the data, he's changing the content. So uh, that is a breach of integrity. That is a breach of integrity. Okay, and breach of availability. Breach of availability means the unauthorized person is destroying the data. Is destroying the data. That is breach of availability. Okay. And theft of service. Theft of service means an unauthorized person is using a resource. He is not allowed to use the resource, but he is using the resource. So he is something like stealing the resource. And there is another security violation which is quite different, which is called as denial of service, which means that a legitimate user is not allowed to avail a service. Okay. So this you can see. So denial of service (DOS), which means that a legitimate user is not allowed to avail a service. Okay. Okay, it is as if that say somebody is having a account on a particular bank. It is very genuine that he is having an account. Okay, but some attack has happened, and when he approaches the bank personnel is saying that no, you don't have any account here. So that is a denial of service. Actually, he is not an attacker; he is a legitimate user, but some mishap has happened, so the system is considering him as an illegitimate user, so that is called as denial of service. So his service is denied, he is not served. Okay, so these are the broad categories of attacks. See here, confidentiality is the important thing, because finally an attacker want to break the confidentiality. Okay, if confidentiality is broken, then the attacker can do anything with the system. Okay, for example, you say your password is confidential. So if attacker gained access to your password, then what will happen? He can do anything. He can read your mail, he can reply from your mail to somebody else as if the mail was sent from you. Okay, or if somebody has gained access to your credit card number and the password, so that is a loss of confidentiality. Then what happens? He can do anything with your bank account, right? So an ultimate aim of an attacker to perform breach of confidentiality. For that, he may do so many small steps. Okay, right? This integrity is also important. Breach of integrity means the no more the data is integral. So it means that no more the data is in the safe form. The because the one who is the unauthorized person is modifying the data. Then he is modifying means he will be modifying to his requirement. Okay, fine. So there are different security violations which we'll see. These are termed as masquerading attack, replay attack, man in the middle attack, and session hijacking. So there is a diagram. Let us better understand that diagram. See the first diagram. So this diagram, so this particular, the first one, what it says in the sense, so so this particular diagram, okay, it is up to this point, right? So what it says in the sense, it is a normal case, but this is also one form of attack. You can call this as a passive attack. This can be called as a passive attack. Okay, so So in a passive attack, what happens in the sense, two users were communicating, a sender and the receiver, they are communicating. They are assuming that their communication is secure, that nobody else is listening to this communication, or nobody else is intruding in the communication. But actually there is an attacker. There is an attacker sitting in between the sender and the receiver. The attacker is passively listening to the sender and the receiver. The attacker is not doing anything, but the attacker listens. But the attacker listens and understands what is happening between these two communication. So this is also one form of attack. The attacker not actively involves in attacking, or in trying to access any resource, but still the attacker gains data, or she collect some information, which is very crucial. So this type of attack is called as passive attack. The second case is a masquerading attack. Masquerade in the sense pretending like somebody else. The meaning of masquerade is to pretend like somebody else. So here the actual sender, he is the actual sender and he is the actual receiver. Okay. But the attacker masquerades. But the attacker here masquerades. So this attacker, what she is doing in the sense, she behaves like the sender. She behaves like the sender and she communicates with the receiver. Okay. So let us say this person is uh, what do you call? Say this is Tom and this is John. Okay. So here John feels that he is talking with Tom, but actually John is not talking with John. John is not talking with Tom. John is talking with the attacker. Okay. Okay, John is talking with the attacker, right? So this type of attack is called as masquerade attack. Okay. So let us call this attacker as allies. So John is thinking that he is talking with uh, Tom, but actually John is communicating with allies. Allies masquerades as Tom. Allies pretends like Tom. So this type of attack is called as masquerading attack. The third type of attack is called as man in the middle attack. Man in the middle attack. Here the attacker actively uh, impersonate both the sender and the receiver. So every communication that the sender is sending, say say this is Tom and this is John. So the Tom is thinking that he is communicating with John, and John is thinking that he is communicating with Tom. But actually, what is happening is whatever John sends, it goes to allies first, the attacker. The attacker allies first, and the attacker modifies this data according to her requirement or her need, and then the attacker sends the data back to Tom, right? Similarly, whatever Tom sends to John, it don't reaches John directly. Rather, it first reaches allies, the attacker, and allies again modifies the data according to her requirement, and she sends the data back to John. So this type of attack is called as man in the middle attack, and John and Tom don't know that somebody is doing like this. Okay, so these are the different types of attacks that can happen in a network. Okay. Other than that, here there is another attack which is called as replay attack. The the replay attack. What does it mean by replay attack? In the sense, say in this diagram, say 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 the sender Tom is requesting John that you send me some X amount of money. You send some X amount of money to so and so bank account. Like that, Tom is sending a message to John. Send X amount of money to so and so bank account. So that is the message. Okay, let us assume that message is encrypted. That message is encrypted, and Tom is sending that message to John. Okay. Now the attacker is listening to this communication. As the attacker is listening to his communication for a long period of time, somehow the attacker understands that this message is where Tom is requesting money from John. Now Tom has requested this money and John got the Tom requested the money and John sent the money and Tom got the money. That is fine. But later, after some more time or some more days, attacker Alice, what she can do in the sense, he can send the same packet which Tom has already sent. This packet she can store in her system, thinking that in future it may be useful for us. Because some other time, if she wants money, she can ask to John, pretending as Tom. Okay. So later, say maybe after 1 week or 1 month or 1 year, what Alice can do in the sense, Alice can transmit the same packet to John. Okay. Now John will think that again Tom is asking me some money and John will send the money. Okay, but now here the account number Alice can change. Instead of Tom's account number, she can give her account number. Okay, so the money will be sent to her account number. So this type of attack. So so this type of attack is called as replay attack. Replay attack. So you are replaying. So John has already sent one packet. Okay, that packet you are replaying. The attacker is replaying it again. Again, she is sending it, and by that she is getting her jobs done. Okay, or or simplest case, what you can say is, say that uh, John is sending a password. John is sending a password to access some resource uh, in sorry, Tom is sending a password to access some resource in John's computer. So using this password, uh, Tom can access that particular resource in, in in John's computer. Okay. Now this password is not known. Password is encrypted, and it is sent. Okay. Now allies also don't know the password, but allies knows that using this password you can access John's resource. Allies need not know this password. Now allies will just store this packet as it is, the encrypted password, and later when she want to access the same resource after 2 days of or after 1 week, she will replay that packet to John. Okay, now John will think that Tom want to once again access that resource and he will give access. But now the person who is accessing is not John, it is Alice. So this type of attacks is called as replay attack. Okay, fine. So security should be done at several levels. It should be done at physical level. That is, you should have uh, data centers, servers, and you should ensure that physically your server rooms are protected uh, uh, with, with proper what you call security personnel, and not everybody is allowed to access the server room, and passwords are there in every system, all those things. And also at human level security in the sense, avoid social engineering, phishing, all these things. Social engineering means somebody may talk with you very nicely, and somebody may request you to tell your ATM pin number, giving saying some stating some genuine reason or something, or somebody may ask for your password. All these are called as social engineering. It is somebody will act like as your best friend and they will ask your confidential information. So such information you should not give up. Okay, phishing in the sense, a site which is acting like a genuine site. For example, if you have an account with ICICI Bank, then somebody else may create a website which is very similar to ICICI bank account, and they may send a mail, just log in to ICICI Bank and claim this benefit. If you log in now, your account will be credited with $100. Then if you click on that link, you will see a very similar page, which is very similar to your genuine ICICI web page. But you should be cautious enough to see the website address. Is it ICICI.com or something else? Then when you see it is something else, but still if you log in, then your password and all information will be lost, and obviously you may lose money. Okay, and also protection should be done at operating system level and at network levels. Okay, so there are some. Let us discuss some program threats. How security can be what you call security breach can happen due to some program threats. So one of the famous programs threats or Trojan horse. So what is a Trojan horse? So Trojan horse is basically it is a it is a useful program. It's a useful program which is running in your system, but it is modified by the attacker to perform some unauthorized task, to perform some unauthorized task, or or to use the system in a negative way. Okay, so a Trojan horse is as if, say, a program which is having a high level of privilege. Say a particular program which is having a high level of privilege, it is a genuine program, but the attacker has injected some wrong codes into the program. Okay, and now this program behaves in a different way. Okay, the code segment that misuses its environment. Okay, that program is a genuine program originally, which can perform a high privileged operation, but the attacker is successful in making sure that this will misuse its privilege. So such type of attacks are called as Trojan horse attack. For example, in operating system, if you see, the kernel processes are high privilege process. So if an attacker is able to inject some unnecessary codes into the kernel program and to ensure that the kernel process is misusing its privileges, then that is an example of a Trojan horse. Okay, then the second type of attacks is trapdoor. What is a trapdoor? So trapdoor is something like a backdoor entry. Sometimes in some of the programs, the creator of the program may leave a trapdoor. Okay, they may leave a trapdoor in the particular software. Generally it is not visible to the user, but there is a door. There is a door means there is an entry point to the software, which is not the normal entry point. Trapdoor means it's an entry point to the software, but which is not the normal entry point, which is a very easy and a shortcut entry. It's a very easy and a shortcut entry. Okay, so it is why the programmer does that, in the sense, because when the programmer want to debug the program, every time if he pass through the normal entry, then there may be set of things he may have to do, like giving the username, giving the password, and doing certain 4 5 steps he may have to do, so that his time will be wasted. But if he can directly get access to the system, then he can debug fastly. Okay, so because of that, sometimes uh, the programmer will have it. Normally when they create a software, there will be a trapdoor, and for debugging they will use this trapdoor, right? But finally when the program is released, the trapdoor will be closed. The trapdoor will be closed, and any user can access only through the normal way of entry, that is by giving the username and the password. But in some rare cases, the programmer may intentionally or unintentionally, he may not close the trapdoor. Okay, if the trapdoor is not closed, and if an attacker knows about this trapdoor, or somehow he identifies that there is a trapdoor, then through this trapdoor he can gain access to the software, and then he can do anything to this particular software. Okay, so this type of attack is called as trapdoor attack. Then there is called something called as logic bomb. So logic bomb attack, in the sense, uh, it is again a programmer gains the attacker gains access to one of the legitimate program, and he writes some logic, that is, if something happens, then do this. That is, until something happens, the program until something not happens, the program behaves like a normal program. But if something happened which the attacker don't want to happen, if such things happened, then this bomb will blast. Bomb, in the sense, it is not a physical bomb. So he might have given an instruction like, if this condition has reached, then you do this, you delete all these files, you corrupt, you make sure that the database is corrupted. Some code the attacker will write into a legitimate program. He may write some if condition. If this condition is satisfied, okay, then uh, perform this attack. Okay, so as long as this condition is not satisfied, the attack will not happen. But the moment the condition is satisfied, then then the attack will fire. Okay, say an attacker fears that something should not happen. So, and if something happens, then it will be a problem for him. So the attacker will gain access to that code and he will write this code. So as long as that particular event not occurs, this code will not execute. But when that event occurs, then it will execute and it will spoil the system. So this type of attack is called as logic bomb. The second and the next type of attack is stack or buffer overflow. So as you know that stack is normally used to store the uh, function parameters, return address, all these things. So simply I will, it's a very large concept, but in a brief way I will try to explain. So stack will always store the return address, function return address where it should return. Okay. Now some assume that a particular attacker got access to the stack. A particular process P1 is running and say it is calling a function F1. So after F1 completes, it should return back to again to P1. So that return address it is writing into the stack and it is executing F1. Now the attacker, this attacker, what happened? This attacker say somehow he got access to the stack and attacker wants to run an malicious code, and this malicious code he has stored in some part of the memory. So he has stored starting from the memory location 2500 to say 2600. Starting from 2500 to 600 he has stored a malicious code. Now he wants this malicious code to get executed. So how he will get executed in the sense he already got access to the stack. So this is stack, and he knows that this process P1 is currently executing the function F1. But after once the function F1 completes, it will take the return address from the stack and it will start executing P1. Now this attacker, what he will do in the sense this return address he will modify. Actually, the return address will point to P1. If P1's address is 1000, that is P1's next address is 1000, then return address will point to 1000. But attacker will modify this to, he will just change his return address to 2500. Okay, now what will happen when that particular process P1 completes F1 and it fetches the return address, it will not get its correct return address, rather it gets 2500. 2500 is the address of the the malicious code which is written by the attacker. Okay, now the process P1 starts executing the malicious code, and that's it. Whatever the malicious with whatever the wrong intent the attacker has written, that was done. So this type of attack can happen through stack and buffer overflow, right? So these are some of the different types of attacks. And then attacks can also happen through virus. You know, viruses are self-replicating programs. So once virus enters into a system, it starts spreading at a faster rate and it moves from one system to another system. There are different types of virus available, like file virus. It will affect only file. When a file is opened, it will move from one file to another file. There is a virus called boot sector virus, which will stay in the memory. In the memory in the boot sector, it will stay, and when the operating system is loaded, the virus will infect the operating system. And the macro, if these are the viruses which is created through macros that was written through Microsoft Excel or through Microsoft VB Visual Basic. These viruses are written through those macros, and source code virus which will affect the only the source codes like C program or Java program. Like there are different types of viruses available which you can go through it. Okay. So, so there is, and one should be cautious when you are using the password, because password somebody can take your password by using keystroke logger. So keystroke logger is a device. It's a USB device which can be connected to the system. So it will store every keystroke. So if you are using somebody else computer, say if you are going to your browsing center and you are typing your email password, and if there is a keystroke logger is connected with that particular PC, then they can track your password. Okay. And there is another form of this is worm is also similar to virus. So worm, it is is also similar to a virus. It will have two programs. One is called as a grappling hook, the other one is a worm. Okay, this grappling hook will initially say one system is already infected by the worm. It's one type of virus. Say one system is already infected by the worm, then then this system will somehow send the grappling hook to another system, to the target system. Through any means, it will send the grappling hook to the target system. And once the grappling hook reaches the target system, it will request the original system from where the grappling hook came to send the worm. And then the other system will send the worm. And now the worm is transmitted to this system. And so this system is also corrupted. Again, this system will do the same job. It will send the grappling hook to next system, and it continues like this. So this type of attack is called as worm. So this type of worm with the two, there are different types of worm. So this type of worms with two programs, grappling hook and worm, this worm was introduced by one particular student in 1988, and his name was Maurice. So this is called as Maurice internet worm.